In the dry heart of the savannah, where vultures flew in circles above dead trees and the cracked earth groaned under tired feet, there was once a kingdom that everyone admired, Dambata. Dambata was famous for its shiny gold that sparkled even brighter than the sun. Its warriors were the best fighters, and its prince, Jato, was said to make the ancestors proud. He was brave and fair, and everyone looked forward to him becoming king after the next harvest. But sadly, he never got to wear the crown. On the night when he was supposed to be welcomed into manhood, flames swallowed the palace. The screams of people echoed through the hills as the night turned chaotic. By morning, the body of Prince Jato was found, lying in ashes. His throat had been cut, his room was in ruins, and his royal sword was missing. Only one person lived through the night without harm, Commander Dogo, who was the king's most trusted guard. He knelt before the king, his armor stained with blood and his voice shaking. "Bandits attacked us," he said. "We fought hard, but I failed." The king was heartbroken and tears rolled down his face. His hands shook with sorrow, but he chose to believe Dogo's words. As a result, Dogo was made war chief, the protector of the land and the one who would seek revenge. But after that terrible night, everything changed for Dambata. The sky grew harsh, and rain became something people spoke about only in stories. The crops refused to grow, and the river became so quiet it was barely a sound. Mothers buried their children, who were too weak to breathe and instead coughed up sand. Fear started to fill the hearts of the people like smoke from a fire. Whispers began to spread among them, "The ancestors are angry." Old Mowu, the blind priestess, stood in the busy marketplace and declared, "The land is grieving for a prince who was murdered, not by strangers, but by someone who called him brother." No one listened to her at first. Until one day, Rakia began to speak out. Rakia was not just any ordinary person. She had once been Jato's closest friend. Together, they would sneak behind hidden huts and in moonlit groves to share their dreams of creating a fair kingdom. A kingdom where no child would go hungry and no elder would die without being cared for. On the night Jato was killed, Rakia saw something that other people had overlooked. She spotted a golden armband shining in the ashes outside Jato's hut. This special armband was only worn by the guards of the palace. She rushed to tell the king about what she found, but he dismissed her story and did not believe her. She pleaded with the elders for help, but they were too scared of Dogo, who had become very powerful. However, Rakia remembered what Mowu, the priestess, had once said, "The well never lies. The well remembers everything." Determined to find the truth, Rakia began her journey. She walked for 3 long nights through dust storms and past ominous birds of death until she finally arrived at the ancient whispering well, which was hidden deep in the forest of the ancestors. When midnight came, she stood by the well with dry lips and a heavy heart. She whispered, "Who killed the prince?" The well began to gurgle, and suddenly, the wind stopped blowing. Then, it whispered back to her, "He who bathes in the blood of the crown but sleeps with greed beneath his tongue." With a fierce determination in her heart, Rakia made her way back to Dambata. She plotted to wait for the 7 Moons festival, where Dogo would celebrate and drink beneath the sacred flames. When the time came, she climbed the steps of the palace and cried out in front of the entire kingdom, "Let the world judge our truths. Let the ancestors speak." Dogo laughed at her challenge, saying, "A woman's grief makes her mad." But the people, who looked tired, hungry, and desperate, turned their thoughts towards Dogo. They said, "If you have nothing to hide, you should kneel at the well." And so, a large group of them marched to the well. At midnight, surrounded by the stillness of the forest, the villagers watched as Dogo knelt next to the ancient stone ring, which had a moss-covered mouth that looked wide open, waiting for the truth to be revealed. He announced loudly, "I am loyal. I stood up for the prince. I am innocent." The well was quiet. Then, deep within it, a strange sound emerged, like the noise of bones scraping together. The wind suddenly changed direction. A dark shape began to rise. It had no eyes, no mouth at all, but it spoke in the voice of Jato. Dogo, my brother in arms, you who betrayed me in the dark. I fed you. I trusted you. And you took my heart for a crown that you would never wear. The crowd gasped in shock. Dogo let out a scream. No, it was meant for the king. He was too old. Jato was going to take my place. I just wanted to be powerful. The ground opened up beneath him. Roots reached out and grabbed his legs. The well pulled him down, and he screamed as he disappeared. Then, there was silence. Suddenly, a single drop of water fell from the sky. And then more drops followed. Rain began to fall. For the first time in 7 long years, the people of Dambata were able to drink. The king stepped forward and put his hands gently on Rukia's shoulders. You have done what I could not do. You have brought back the truth. And with it, life. Rukia never became queen. But her name was carved into the stones of Dambata, the one who listened. And what about the well? It still whispers softly. But only to those brave enough to seek out the truth, and only if they are bold enough to truly hear it.